And last but in no way least, we have our fourth panelist, Maria Vatlahou, who is based in Lisbon in Portugal, a Greek native. She's a cultural manager and she's currently working on a project, Acesso Cultura, which is about access to culture from intellectual, physical and civil society. She also operates her own blog, which is an important device because we're talking a little bit about who are the gatekeepers, who controls the message. So she also writes to her own blog and uses other platforms to muse on culture.
Thank you. When PAN, Intercultural Arts, was asked why a theatre residency at the Jungle, the refugee camp in Calais, they answered, because of course finding a roof and a bowl of food is not all humans need in times of trauma and distress. They need a place to imagine, dream, reflect, and exercise that most human of qualities, creativity. I work in the cultural field because I believe in culture's strong and meaningful impact in people's lives, in our human, intellectual, and emotional development. And Access Culture, the association I work for, acknowledges culture's power and impact and works towards the elimination of barriers to culture, physical, social, and intellectual, so that every person may have the opportunity to enjoy culture and to create, no matter where they come from and what their specific capacities are. Today in Europe, we are dealing with xenophobia and racism, but above all, we're dealing with fear. And fear is an instinct. Fear is our animal side. It makes us see a threat in the existence of other people, different people. It makes us see them as a group, a threatening group, of course, and it stops us from recognizing the humanity of each individual. Our culture can help us overcome the fear and see the humanity of others. It can challenge our preconceptions, our prejudices. It can create places of encounter where we get to meet and know the other as an individual, as another human being. And it can help us find common ground. Just a couple of recent examples. On the 10th of April, there was the Youth Eye Festival in Athens, Youth Theatre Interculturalism, and it was a celebration of theatre and creativity and diversity, and it brought together Greek teenage amateur actors and adult immigrant amateur actors who live and work in Athens. Another example, museums in Berlin, they are doing guided tours in museums in Arabic, guided by Syrian refugees who are welcoming newly arrived refugees in their native language, hopefully making them feel a bit more welcome, but also hopefully reminding them that Germany was a country that had to be rebuilt after the Second World War, just the way they might be able to rebuild their own country someday. There are two key points I would like to bring up for our discussion. No matter how beautifully we speak and write about culture, there is a distance between culture as theory and culture as practice. And by culture as theory, I mean the accumulation, the individual accumulation of intellectual and affective wealth that is not necessarily put into practice. And by culture in practice, I mean actually using the wealth accumulated in our everyday life, in the way we treat and raise our children, in the way we deal with our neighbors, in the way we do our job, whether we are artists or cultural managers or teachers, police officers, judges or politicians. In the way we behave, we make decisions and act in society, we give a sign of what our culture is. So when we sign agreements that clearly violate human rights, when we attack refugees at our borders, when we close our borders to those refugees, these are signs of our culture. Just like the Commissioner was saying this morning, this is who we are and how we want to live. This is our European culture that we like to think it conveys respect for human dignity, democracy, equality, respect for human rights. So when our decisions and actions ignore these fundamental European values, then I would say that if such a thing as the clash of civilizations exists, then it's not between us and them. It's here, it's among us, and we all want to be proud of our European culture. The second point I would like to make is that culture is not an instant remedy. It doesn't do miracles on its own. In the UN Summit on Sustainable Development that took place in Rio de Janeiro in 2012, it was suggested that culture is the fourth pillar of sustainable development, joining the other three, which we all knew: economic, social, and environmental pillars. So if we truly wish to work for peace and justice, for respect and diversity, then we need to consider solutions based on all four pillars. We need to work with other sectors need to work with us to make sure we can create the conditions for a sustainable future where fear will not stop people from practicing their culture. That way we can contribute for people to feel strong, safe and capable, and to put their talents and capacities at the service of a common good, against fear. Thank you.